Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really fascinating theological puzzle from your sources. It's about Adam's lost, temporary, delegated authority over creation. And specifically, we're dissecting two main perspectives on who actually took it, and maybe more importantly, from whom it must ultimately be reclaimed.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is we really start with God's original design, right? He initially entrusted Adam with a temporary stewardship, like a delegated authority. The idea was to rule creation according to his love, his commandments. You see hints in Leviticus, God owns everything. But Adam, well, he failed to protect that trust from deception. And that leads to the world we see described, with thorns and thistles. The sources even mention the strong devouring the weak.
So Adam failed, paradise shifted. But here's the puzzle from the material. Who got that authority? Our sources lay out two pretty compelling but distinct arguments. The first one argues Adam became, quote, Satan's slave. That's from John. And the idea is Satan actively seized this authority. And this seems supported by Satan's own boast to Jesus, in Luke, claiming he had all this authority over the world's kingdoms.
Right, that's a key passage.
And he's called things like ruler of the authority of the air in Ephesians, or the God of this world in 2 Corinthians. So this view paints Satan as a strong man, like in Matthew, who genuinely set up this lawless, violent rule.
Exactly. That's one clear line of thought in the sources. But then there's the other side, the second argument. This one contends that Adam became a slave to sin. That's drawing from Romans. And here the authority wasn't lost directly to Satan, but to sin itself.
Okay, so sin is the primary recipient.
That's the idea. And it's crucial because it suggests Satan, while powerful, is also a slave of sin. His influence, drawing from Colossians, is described as kind of parasitic. It relies on sin's dominion. It's not his own inherent authority he seized from Adam.
Ah, I see. So he's leveraging sin's hold.
Precisely. Adam sold his authority, according to texts like Isaiah and Romans, but he sold it to sin, not directly to Satan. This leads to a world ruled by sin and death, which echoes through Romans 5. So Satan's power, in this view, it's more of a false authority, exploiting the reality of sin's grip.
Wow, okay. Those are two really distinct ways to frame it. It kind of boils down to whether the main enemy is an external usurper, Satan, or maybe an internal condition, sin itself. Is that fair?
That's a great way to put it. That's the core distinction, yes. If sin is the root, then dealing with sin becomes the absolute priority.
And how does knowing who received it change how we think about getting it back?
Well, that brings us right to the next critical question you raised. Who pays the price? And maybe even more specifically, to whom is that price paid? This is vital because at its heart, this isn't just about losing an earthly right. It's an offense against the one who gave the authority initially. The sources remind us all creation belongs to God. So fundamentally, all sin is against him, against God alone, and only he can judge and forgive, which means, it means the price for that lost authority, it has to be paid to God. He's the ultimate sovereign.
Okay, so regardless of whether it was lost primarily to Satan or to sin, the debt is ultimately owed back to God.
Exactly.
And your sources, they consistently point towards Jesus Christ as the one who settles that debt, the reclaimer.
Absolutely, yes. Jesus, who the sources say now holds all authority. He paid that ultimate price for Adam's sin to the Father. That price was his abandonment on the cross, that profound separation for our reconciliation. Think of the parable in Luke 20, the vineyard, the son, the heir is killed.
Powerful image.
And through his perfect obedience, even as a human, Jesus overcame sin itself. This opens the way for us, for humanity, to be freed from sin's power. And as a result, freed from Satan's influence, too. It comes through his sacrifice and the Holy Spirit. He's the redeemer of the lost inheritance, that language echoing Leviticus, and the one who will eventually bind Satan and restore paradise.
So, thinking about this for you, our listener, what does this all mean? This deep dive really shines a light on the complex nature of power, loss, and the path to real freedom explored in these sources.
Yeah, and if we connect it to the bigger picture, while we have these two distinct arguments about the how and the to whom of the loss, both views powerfully agree on one thing: breaking free from sin's grip with Jesus' help. That is the absolute foundation for overcoming any kind of oppression or perceived dominion.
Okay, so here's a final thought to maybe leave you with. Consider this. If God, in his ultimate justice and sovereignty, temporarily permits certain powers, whether sin or Satan acting through sin, to exist, if he permits this as part of his grand plan for redemption, what might that teach us about patience, about divine timing? and maybe about where we should really focus our energy when facing what feels like oppression, something to think about.